Hi, my name is Jacob Cuellar, and I'm in Professor Cavitt's Language and Communication Theory class. The theory that I chose to talk about for my topic was the functional group decision-making theory. The theory was created by Randy Hiwakawa and Dennis Gorin in 1983. The theory is not simply like a is this true or is this not true theory. It's more of a list of pathways and outcomes for group communication. Anybody that's taken a class where you have to work with a group of strangers or somebody you might not know in a group setting formally has probably experienced this theory in the steps that kind of commonly move through when you communicate with a group like that. The process includes 4 main methods and steps, which include problem analysis, goal setting, identifying alternatives, and evaluating and selecting. Those last 2 are one part of the theory, but they come in 2 steps. So the first step of that theory, the problem analysis function, it's exactly what it sounds like. You're basically just identifying the problem and analyzing and kind of brainstorming, trying to find a solution with the group. And which it kind of moves into the second step, which is goal setting, where you take these brainstormed solutions that you just had with the group and you kind of move through them and see which ones are more valid than others, which also takes you into the third step, and it moves really smoothly throughout this whole theory, which is you identify the alternatives in the third step of the theory, where you might go ask your professor or an outside mind just not in the group if any of your solutions might be lacking somewhere, or if they can even propose their own solution that maybe you didn't have because you might not have had such a diverse group of thinkers. Which finally leads into the last part, like I said, which is broken up into 2 parts, the evaluating and the selecting. So the evaluating is exactly what it sounds like as well, where you evaluate the actual theories and the solutions that have been proposed by the group. And then after that, you go through and select which ones actually the group deems that maybe would work the best in the situation that you've been proposed. So after all that, I'd like to talk about like the first time I actually kind of noticed that I was using this theory. Up until probably a few days ago when I was actually researching this theory, I didn't really notice in my personal life when I was working with groups and communicating with groups that I was doing these things, but it seems to, everybody in groups seems to absent-mindedly go through these steps without actually knowing what the theory is, and I thought that was kind of interesting. So the first personal kind of time I experienced it was my sophomore year in college. Over the summer I took a public speaking course where in one of the assignments we had to work in a group, and the group was completely made up of strangers that I had no idea who any of them were, and it was kind of weird at first talking to each other, but we kind of, like I said, absent-mindedly went through these steps where we came together and we did the problem analysis at the beginning, and we figured out what we wanted to do for our project. And then when we moved on, we talked about, after we brainstormed for a while, we talked about the actual solutions that we could pick and what we needed to do. And the identifying alternative step, the third step, came when we asked our professor if she had a personal opinion about it or a differing opinion, so we could have a kind of a diverse opinion and not just limited to the group we had. And then finally we ended up evaluating and selecting the actual method that we were going to use. So overall, it ended up being really great, and we ended up getting an A+ in that. I was really happy with that. But I still think it's really funny that we kind of did that theory without even knowing what the theory was. And I'm really glad that I chose this topic because it, like I said, it's really enlightened what I feel about it. And I really would love to talk to more people about it, and I hope they would maybe find it as more interesting, if not as more interesting as I have. Thank you.